get straight into the politics this hour, shall we? Because the Shadow Energy Secretary, Andrew Bowie, joins us now. Thank you very much for joining us, Andrew. Let's start by talking about these energy bills, shall we? They're going to fall significantly, down 7% on average, just been announced by Ofgem in the past hour. Is this a win for Ed Miliband and the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves?
No, anything but. I mean, yes, of course, any reduction bills is good for people up and down this country who are struggling. But this is actually devastating for Ed Miliband and Rachel Reeves. Despite all of the efforts they've made, their sleight of hand, increasing taxes to pay for a slight reduction in bills, we're still £70 worse off in our energy bills than we were in July 2024. And all the experts predict that bills are going to continue to rise for the rest of this year. So this promise that Ed Miliband gave us during the election of reducing bills by £300 looks even more unlikely by the day, despite their best efforts to try and cover up what is a nonsensical approach to energy in this country.
Yeah, Andrew, Kemi Badenoch before said she wants to drill, baby, drill. Have you done any cost analysis to see how much that might reduce home bills for people in Britain?
The maximising what we get from the North Sea is far more about ensuring security of supply and maintaining the skilled workforce and the investment we need to drive the energy industry in this country forward. Our cheap power plan, which would reduce bills by 20% for consumers and businesses, will be gotten to by getting rid of all the green charges and levies that people see on their energy bills every time they open them up, getting rid of the Climate Change Act, getting rid of Net Zero 2050 as an ambition, and moving towards a policy of energy abundance, putting cost and security at the top of everything we do. That's how we reduce bills in this country. Drilling for more oil and gas in the North Sea just makes sense wider for the economy and indeed for energy security.
I'm not sure if you were able to watch President Trump's State of the Union speech overnight. It was the longest in history, 1 hour, 50 minutes, I believe. If you did, what did you make of it? Lots of our viewers touching upon the patriotism that was displayed by President Trump, wishing that we had something similar in this country. And he was also talking about his crackdown on illegal immigration, and he was proudly boasting that in the past 9 months, not a single illegal immigrant has crossed the border into the United States. Were there part of that speech, part of President Trump's policy that you wish that we could emulate here in Britain?
Every time your phone connects to public Wi-Fi, anyone nearby could snoop on what you're doing. Hackers can steal your information, passwords, photos, and bank details in just seconds. ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. ExpressVPN is so easy to use. With just one click of a button, you're protected. Streaming, banking, or shopping, you can switch between high-speed servers worldwide in seconds, and your connection never slows down. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free, all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your online life today.
Well, I didn't see the State of the Union last night. I had to get up early to speak to you this morning, but I have heard quite a bit of it on the airwaves since I did get up. And, you know, what's quite clear is that President Trump is incredibly proud of his country, and he's got a lot of support in that country. I think that our version, if you call it that, the King's Speech, the state opening of Parliament, I think I prefer that to the American way of doing things. On his claims regarding illegal immigration, it's quite clear that the Trump administration has come down hard on illegal immigration into the United States of America. That's something that the people who elected him to that office wanted him to do, and he seems to be delivering. What we need to see in this country are policies being brought forward by this government that deal with the situation we have here. You know, they came into office promising they were going to smash the gangs and stop the boats, but without any plan to actually do that. And what we've seen is that month on month, more and more people are coming into this country illegally because this government has got absolutely no plan to deal with the gangs, gangs to deal with the boats. What we want to do is get out of the ECHR and deport anybody that comes into this country illegally the moment their feet touch the soil. It's about fairness, it's about doing the right thing for the British people, and that's what we would do if we were returned to government in 3 years' time.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Andrew, people wouldn't forgive me if I said that this crisis started under the previous Conservative government, and it was skyrocketing during that time, and there wasn't much of a plan to fix it then. However, let's move on to young people because
I disagree. There was a plan. We spent an inordinate amount of time in that building behind me, an inordinate amount of public money trying to bring forward the Rwanda scheme, which would have acted as a deterrent.
Which your own party, Andrew, was fighting over and trying to destroy within itself. You weren't even united on a plan to stop the small boats, were you? Yes, we were. We passed the Rwanda scheme multiple times in the House of Commons. It was presented by activist lefty lawyers in the courts and Labour peers in the House of Lords. That's why we weren't able to get it off the ground. And the very first thing that Labour did when they came into office, before it even been proven that it could have worked, was to scrap the Rwanda plan with no scheme to replace. And I think that's unforgivable given the situation we're in right now. OK. I just wanted to ask you about young people as well, Andrew, if that's all right, because young people are struggling more than ever to get onto the job market at the moment. What would your party do if it were in government to incentivise businesses to employ young people again?
Yeah, look, it's a tragedy. You're seeing the 16 to 24-year-old unemployment rate skyrocketing, and that's because so few young people are actually able to get into work. Businesses with the national insurance increases, the national minimum wage increases, and all the bureaucracy and red tape that this government are introducing are actually being punished for employing new starts in young people, especially in the hospitality sector, which is on life support, which many people, including myself, had our first paid job in. So it's absolutely essential we do something to combat this. We would take action on business rates, we would take action on the national insurance increase, and also we saw this week our plan for young people, which would encourage and support companies to take on apprentices, because that is such an important avenue for young people to get well-paid jobs in this country. And this government, I'm afraid, at the minute doesn't show any sign of wanting to do anything to support young people, which is what we're saying we will do.
And Mr. Bowie, just finally, I wanted to ask you about the extraordinary scenes in the House yesterday where the Trade Minister, Sir Chris Bryant, described Andrew Mountbatten Windsor as rude, arrogant and entitled. Now, I'm sure you appreciate that legally we have to be very careful about this discussion, but of course Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has not been found guilty on any charges. In fact, he hasn't been charged with anything. He's denied any wrongdoing. So with that all in mind, was this appropriate parliamentary language from a trade minister talking about a member of the royal family?
Look, Chris Bryant will be Chris Bryant. I've never met the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, so I can't comment on his character. We are aware of the incredibly serious allegations that have been levelled against him, and I think it's important that all of us in the public sphere give the police and the investigating authorities time and space to investigate fully before taking any judgment. But Chris Bryant will do what Chris Bryant does, as he always has.
OK.
Andrew Bowie, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time, of course. And we're now joined by our chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster, for some reaction off the back of that. Catherine, should we start with this price cap changes? Because there's been a lot of viewers writing into us today to say, actually, the government, how can they take credit for this? It's not even determined by them.
Well, the government would say, I mean, it is good news, first of all.
Yes.
7% off is an average of 117 less on your energy bills from April. But, of course, what's happening partly is that they are removing the sort of energy subsidies that the government attached to our energy bills, and they're putting those into general taxation. So the money is still coming in, just in a different way. But look, I think, as Andrew Bowie said, before the last election, the Labour Party pledged to take up to £300 off our energy bills. Andrew Bowie's just said they're actually 70% higher than when Labour came in July 24.
Yeah.
I think the government would argue that this will all take time. They're doing things like, small nuclear modular reactors, all this infrastructure that wasn't there. But of course, that's going to take a long time to come in. Meanwhile, people are feeling that things are not getting better. They booted out the Tories because they were cross with them, and now they're really fed up with Labour. What do we see in the Commons? We see MPs spending hours basically taking a pop at Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor and the Epstein files, having huge consequences on the man that used to be called Prince Andrew, on Peter Mandelson, who the Prime Minister chose to give that plum job as the US ambassador to, which he didn't have to do, and this would all be a historic story. But all of this, Epstein, and isn't it interesting that this is happening in the UK, but in America, we're not seeing any of this.
No political fallout, really?
No, none at all.
And they're looking over at Britain thinking they're doing something about it.
Yeah, and we are, which is great. But the problem is for people at home that just want bills to come down, that want to feel that things are improving. None of this is helping that. Yesterday, I was at a briefing about the Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy's reforms to the courts, restrictions on jury trials. The day before, they wanted to talk about the reforms to special educational needs for kids in schools. None of this is getting much airtime because we're all talking about Epstein and his unfortunate friendships.
Catherine Forster, thank you very much for joining us. So just a quick